today's video, I'm going to be showing you a step-by-step tutorial on how to read and optimize your Amazon PPC search term report. If you're new to the channel, my name is Sharon. I'm an FBA seller, a mother, wife, brand builder, entrepreneur, and an FBA coach. And I created this channel to bring out as much information as I can on entrepreneurship and Amazon FBA. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, I invite you to subscribe and to hit the notification bell so you will see more videos when they come out. So it is a step-by-step tutorial today. I will say that if you have not yet watched my in-depth on understanding how PPC works video, then I will put a link to that below and you should watch that first so that this video will actually make sense to you and you will know what I'm talking about. And after you've done that, come back and watch the video. So it is pretty long. I do recommend that you sit down, get a notepad, get some water, and pause it when you need breaks, but watch everything, because only when you watch the entire video will everything make more sense to you. Now, it is pretty advanced stuff, so if you do have any questions or you need any help, feel free to comment below and ask me or to reach out, and let's get started. Alright, so we're now inside of my computer and this is a sample search term report. I have a MacBook and I usually work with numbers, which is like the alternative to Excel if you've got, if you work with Mac, but I'm going to be doing this in Excel because just from all the coaching calls I do, most people work with Excel. So the very first thing, so we'll very quickly go through and just understand all the information we're given here, what is important and what isn't. So you're going to have the start date of the campaign, you're going to have an end date for the campaign. If you have a portfolio name, then you're going to have that. Currency, this is a USD example. Campaign name, so the name of the actual campaign that you're running. Ad group name, that is from that campaign name. Targeting, so hold on, I'll just go to the right a bit, sorry. So targeting, which is here, column G. Okay, targeting, this is the keyword that you are targeting, okay? We'll explain that in a second. Match type, customer search term, okay? Let's just quickly understand the difference between targeting and customer search term. When you are targeting a keyword in a phrase or a broad campaign or also in an exact campaign, okay, you are targeting a specific keyword and Amazon is showing it up on a specific search term. So for example, I'll see if I can find something quickly. We can see here we're targeting the keyword gold iPad, but Amazon, it wasn't a phrase campaign, Amazon turned that into the search term LA Pure Gold iPads, okay? So it took gold iPad and it turned it into LA Pure or La, whatever that is, Pure Gold iPads. All right, so there is a difference between targeting and customer search term, and we'll go through that very, very shortly. Next here we have column J, which is impressions. We've got clicks, which is column K. I'm going to go to the right a bit so we can see everything. Then we've got the click-through rate, the cost per click, how much it costs for every click that is clicked. Spent, how much you spent overall, so that would obviously be K times M, okay, equals N, which is clicks times cost per click equals this. And then we've got the total sales, and then we've got the ACOS, and then we have the ROS, which is return on investment spent, and you've got here orders and the conversion rate. And we've also got pure SKU sales. This kind of stuff for me is the return on advertising spent is important to me, but the most important thing to me you'll understand very, very shortly, but it's mostly up to here. Okay, up to the ACOS. At this point in time for this specific tutorial, that is what is important for optimization. Okay. So that is that. Now, if anything that I just explained makes no sense to you, you need to go back and watch my PPC tutorial where I explain what every single thing that I just spoke about means. What are the different match types? What is search terms? What is targeting each keywords, etc. I have a full-on like 50-minute, I know it's long, but pause it if you need to halfway, watch it. Very in-depth PPC video, and I will put a link for that down below. So the very first thing that I want to do is I want to click on row 1, and I want to create a filter. Right now, I can't filter anything here, and that's why I need to do this. So I'll click on the entire row, and I will then click here on filter, and voila, it created a filter. Now, if your setup of your Excel does not look like this, then you will most probably have filter somewhere on the top right. It'll say sort and filter. You'll have to click on it and then click on filter. I don't really want to make a whole Excel, how to use Excel tutorial, so you'll just need to figure that out. Okay, so the next thing, and this is my exact way of doing optimization, and I want to make it clear, this works well for someone who has less than 10 SKUs. The minute they have more than 10 SKUs, then I do things a little bit differently, but most of you will not have that, so we'll focus on this way. Okay, so the first thing I do is I go to column P, which is our ACOS. Okay, I then want to, it's already done this, but I want to anyway show you how to do it. I then want to sort it from highest to lowest. It could be Z to A, or it could be descending. That's the 3 options you'll have, depending on what you're using. So I have now done that. Okay, the next thing that I want to do, I find this the easiest way to teach people when it comes to optimization, because I've just found that color coding is just the best way to go, because that's what helps people understand best. So I'm going to color code this. So when you're initially just starting out and you're initially doing your advertising, okay, it is, because I'm about to talk about the ACOS, and this will change over time, but initially, anything that has a less than 40% ACOS at this point in time initially, okay, is something that I would then call, if it has, over 40%, I would then call it higher ACOS. Okay, now, some people watching this who get into hardcore calculations of ACOS are going to be like, oh, how could she just say that? Because I'm currently talking about someone who is in the middle of a launch. Okay, this is how I would optimize your campaign if you are in the middle of a launch. Okay, the calculation side of it may be more in depth later on. Initially, when we're launching, this is the way I do it, okay? So anything above 40% ACOS, I would then start color coding. Okay, I had to move it over because I couldn't see it. So from here up to here, okay, is higher than 40% ACOS, and I will just make that red for now. Now, anything that has less than 40% ACOS, I will color code it as well. Okay, and I will make it, let's say, blue. Okay, so once I've done that, I now have 3 colors. I've got red, which is bad ACOS or higher ACOS, blue, which is lower ACOS, and white means there is no ACOS because there was no conversion. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2, I then go to column J, which is impressions. And now I will make that from highest to lowest, or Z to A, or descending, depending on what you're using. Okay, and I've now done this from highest to lowest for the impressions. So step 1 was create a filter. Step 2 was to ACOS highest to lowest. Step 3, impressions highest to lowest. Now that I've done that, I want to start looking at each campaign one by one. I do not look at everything as a whole. I want to really analyze every single campaign one by one. So I will now go to, now obviously if you're someone who has different ad groups, then you will do this by different ad groups. I personally do this, my campaign name in my ad group is always the same. I don't have separate ad groups. So I'm going to do filter this by campaign name. This is not one of my products reports. This is someone who I've coached report, and I've just literally played around with the keywords. I literally went and changed every single keyword to create this because I didn't want to give away what their product was. So anyway, I'm going to go in and change it by campaign one by one. So the first thing I can do is clear and then literally start looking at it one by one. Okay, so we're now looking at it's an exact campaign, and we're looking at Gold Eye Mask, and I need to be able to see everything that we see here. Okay, wait, we still can't see it. I'll just make this a bit smaller. There you go. I want to be able to see the targeting keyword, the exact keyword, the search term, how many impressions, all of this up to ACOS. That is what's important for me to see right now. Now, remember right now, we are seeing this, it is all color-coded. Remember that red means we have a higher ACOS, blue means we have a lower ACOS, and white means it just did not convert. Now, a lot of people think that the white ones that have no ACOS then are bad keywords, but that is not correct because possibly they just did not have enough impressions. So the reason that this is filtered by impressions, highest to lowest right now, is because, in my opinion, in my experience, impressions is one of the most important things apart from just ACOS. Yes, it is very important, obviously, for clicks to convert to sales, but I also care about the impressions, and let me explain to you why. Amazon does not show 100% of your keywords, 100% of out of the 24 hours that we have in a day. Amazon the algorithm will choose what keywords or ASINs it is going to target at a specific time on a specific day. And your impressions are spread amongst all these different keywords. So let's say for the next 1 hour, it has decided that Gold Eye Mask is going to be, placed at the top, and therefore it will receive 3,000 impressions. Okay? So I care about the impressions because if 14,000 impressions went towards a non-converting or a keyword that is not converting that well, okay, instead it could have gone towards a keyword that maybe would have converted well, or maybe this keyword that has 9% ACOS, maybe if it just had a little bit more impressions, then it could have brought in a lot more sales. But all the impressions, or not all, but a lot of the impressions, most of the impressions went towards this keyword, and therefore, for example, this keyword did not get enough eyeballs on them. And I care about that. And not enough people understand how important the impression side of it is. It's not just impressions, it's also clicks and click-through rate. And we'll get into that first, but it's crucial that you understand that if a specific keyword is not getting enough impressions, you have to do something about that. So the first thing I can tell here is we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there's probably around like 10 keywords here, more or less. Okay, 10 keywords in this. So Gold Eye Mask, as you can see, and this is why we also care about the search term. Okay, Gold Eye Mask has brought in, 42% ACOS really is not the worst case scenario when you're just launching. It would be a dream for someone to get 42% ACOS. Okay, so I will just say that if you have just launched and you have $1,000 in sales from one of the main keywords, this is a main keyword. To be very fair, this is not a report from a launch. Which is kind of me contradicting myself, so I apologize about that, but this was the report that I got permission to use. So I will say that Gold Eye Mask is one of the main keywords, and if you watched my original PPC videos on launching, you will then know that I do not target the main keywords initially when I'm just launching. So if you somehow did target the main keywords and you had a 42% ACOS on a main keyword and you've just launched, that would be like amazing. Okay, even if that you're at break even at that point, it doesn't matter because that's helping you to get sales and you're ranking slowly for that keyword. So on the one hand, I do want to say that a 42% ACOS is very good when you're just launching. If you're down the track, then you obviously want to bring that down. And the calculation side of lowering ACOS will have to be in a different video because it's just going to be very confusing. I'm not looking to confuse anyone. So anyway, Gold Eye Mask turned into two customer search terms, into Gold Eye Mask and to Gold Eye Masks with an S. And just that S can make a huge difference on what kind of buyers are seeing it. So know that each keyword will have different keyword ranking, etc. So this keyword, gold eye mask, with 14,000 impressions, has taken up most of the impressions from this campaign. And therefore, this keyword cannot stay in this campaign. I now have a choice to make. Either this keyword will have its own campaign because it is taking up way too many. Like, remember, it's one keyword, and together, this and this, if I move myself over here, together, these two keywords, this one keyword has taken up 24,000 impressions. Okay, remember, gold eye mask is the keyword that was targeted. It turned into two separate search terms, eye mask and eye masks, and together the impressions is 24,000. So, and if we just look at all of the impressions from the rest of the keywords, okay, 18,000 impressions. So this is however much keywords we have here had only 18,000 impressions, and just this one keyword had 24,000 impressions. Okay, so this keyword cannot stay in this campaign. This keyword has to have its own campaign. And then I can also, I'm just going to move myself back over here, and then I can also have a much better control over the bidding strategy. So I am going to I think what I will do here, I actually would color code this. Let's just pretend like to yellow so that I know that I have to look at this. Okay, so I've color coded that, and then I may add myself a comment. You can do that by here or click on insert note to move it to its own campaign. Okay, and again, I'm moving it to its own campaign so it will actually have its own ad campaign so that all of the impressions will go towards that campaign, and it's not going to take up the impressions for this campaign. This is a keyword that is performing well. The ACoS is high, but I can lower it by lowering the cost per click. But this keyword cannot stay in this campaign. It must go because it's eating up all of the impressions. Okay, so that's number one. If we then move on, and I can see 24 gold masks for eyes, again, 6,725 impressions. Okay, now it's in blue, which means it has a low ACoS. Let's move on to the clicks. So out of 6,725 eyeballs that saw this, 120 converted into clicks, which is actually pretty good. And then we have a 1.78 click-through rate, which is not the end of the world. Cost per click, $2.30, 279 spent, 973 total sales, and 28% ACoS. This is a pretty good conversion, and I'm fine with that for now. So let's move on. Eye treatment patch. Okay, eye treatment patch had 2,457 impressions, only 14 clicks, giving me a click-through rate of 0.5. Now, 0.5 is definitely not a very good conversion rate. It's also not, the end of the world. It's not that it's 0.01 or something like that, but I would want to see that be a lot higher. A cost per click here is $2.66, and the spent is $37. So I spent $37 to get back 21, meaning out of those 14 clicks, only one converted into a sale with 169% ACoS. Now, this can also make sense because if you're selling a gold eye mask or a gold eye patch, maybe eye treatment patch could be too broad for it. So at this point in time, right now, I have two options. My first option is to lower my bid on this keyword, and that will also lead to less impressions, but also the clicks will cost less money and the ACoS will go down. Or I can pause this because this is an exact campaign. I have the ability to also pause it. Okay, I need to decide how important this keyword is to me. I usually do tend to, first of all, lower the bid before I pause a keyword. I would rather lower the bid and see if I can get sales for a lot less and then lower the ACoS on it before I pause a keyword. But after doing that, if I lower the bid and it is still not converting well, then I will eventually just pause that keyword and replace it with a different keyword to try. Okay, so that's that. Gold eye masks. So, okay. Usually you do not need to, as you can see here, you do not need to put both keywords. You don't need to put gold eye mask and gold eye masks because as you could see here, Amazon will anyway target both in singular and in plural. So you do not need to even have this, okay? And to be honest, it's just like a waste because look at this. Gold eye masks here has a very high ACOS. And the cost per click is also a lot higher than what it was here. So gold eye masks, this keyword, okay, has got to go. And I have a few different ways I could just remind myself to do that. And let's just say for now, I'm going to make it super dark red. So I know that this eye mask has got to go. For this keyword, I would have put in a comment to remember to lower the bid. Anti-aging gold eye pads. 17,000 impressions, 26 clicks. Click-through rate is okay, 1.4. Cost per click, 2.65. Spent $68 to get back to 109 with a 32% ACOS. I'm happy with that. And this keyword can stand here, that's fine. Etc. And I don't want to, I don't want to spend all the time just on this campaign. So I would then look at that. Now, these keywords that did not get impressions, okay, will most probably start getting impressions once I have taken out these two keywords, okay? It's one keyword that I'm taking out, but it's two search terms that I'm going to be taking out, okay? So once I get this out of here, I can expect to have these keywords receive more impressions. If they still do not receive more impressions, okay, I may then take them out of this campaign and put them in another campaign with less keywords, okay, because I want to give them a chance to perform. I'm sorry that I keep moving myself, but anyway, I just want to quickly show you guys this keyword here, gold eye patches. Okay, it had only 76 impressions, which is very low, with 7 clicks, a click-through rate of 9.1, and $17 spent, and it brought in 2 sales, okay? So had this keyword received more impressions, I may have been able to have a lot more money made here, okay? So I then have 2 options. My first option is to wait and see what happens after I take these 2 keywords out. Maybe this will get a lot more impressions. And the second option is to take this keyword and put it into another exact campaign that has only got, let's say, 5 keywords in it, okay? And that way, the impressions, like the Amazon, when they decide to, what keywords are going to get what impressions, the impressions will be spread amongst less keywords. There's about 10 keywords in here. So if I take this out and I put it in a keyword campaign with only 3, 4, 5, whatever keywords, it may then get a lot more impressions and therefore perform better. Or I could then wait to see what happens once I take this keyword out of here and how the impressions will be spread through that. So that is that. That is one campaign. Let's now move on to an example of a phrase. All right, so I am now in a phrase campaign. And again, I'm going to be looking at, this is here, the keywords that I am targeting, okay? And this is the customer search term, okay? It's a customer search term it has turned into. Remember, we're targeting a keyword and Amazon is turning it into a search term and phrase. And the ACOS is here. So remember, we're looking at it currently from impressions highest to lowest. And I can already see that there's a lot of blue. So a lot of keywords have converted well that have not received a lot of impressions. So for example, premium gold eye patches, okay, brought in 2 sales and it only got 92 impressions. And if we see if there's any more, look at all of these keywords. Hardly any impressions and they have converted amazingly. Okay, so I already know that I have a lot of optimization to do here. So the first thing, I'm just going to take off my glasses. The first thing that I have noticed here is gold eye patches for women has gotten most of the impressions. So these keywords here got most of the impressions and the rest got hardly any. Now, it could be a few different things. It could be that there's too many keywords in this campaign. Okay, so I normally never want to put in more than 5 keywords to target in one phrase campaign. Remember that when you're putting in a keyword, Amazon's going to turn that into a search term. And especially if that keyword has a possibility of endless amount of search terms, it's even better that it will be on its own in a campaign. And I'll explain why. So over here, if we look at gold eye patch, you know what? Let's just show you guys for a second. If I move myself here. Hold on a sec. Let's only look at gold eye patch, just so you can understand. Okay, so look at the keyword gold eye patch. Look at how many customer search terms it's turned into. Like so many, okay? So because I want the impressions to be divided a lot better than what it is here, I may then, this is a very good performing campaign, I may then actually decide to have each keyword, targeted keyword, put in its own campaign, because look how well they are performing. Okay, and then if we look at this keyword, gold iPad, it's not converting into that many search terms. It could be because gold eye patch over here was taking all of the impressions as an example. So what I'm trying to say is, if you see that, oops, one sec, we want them all, select all. If you see that a phrase campaign is eventually looking like this, then maybe you then need to target each keyword in its own campaign, especially the ones that are performing very, very well. Okay, so gold eye patches for women got 2,500 impressions, 75 clicks. It's a click-through rate of 2.9. That's not that bad. It's actually pretty good, to be honest. And an ACOS of 31%. Now, remember that this keyword is taking up most of the impressions. Okay, and soon after looking at the whole picture, I will decide what to do with it. Gold eye mask, 1,400 impressions, 27 clicks. And those 27 clicks have turned into 4 sales. Okay, I probably could have done that math myself, but anyway, into 4 sales. So it's not the end of the world, but I don't really love that. And then the ACOS is 49%. This keyword is performing okay. I wouldn't negative exact it. Remember that when you're in phrase, you do not pause a keyword. If gold eye patch was not performing well over here, okay, gold eye patches, okay, let's pretend it wasn't performing well. If I was to pause that in a phrase campaign, it's going to not target any keyword with gold eye patch. But I still want it to target gold eye patches as a phrase because it's turning into lots of different search terms. But maybe keyword gold eye patch specifically is not converting well, so I would negative exact it. So any keyword that is not performing well in a phrase campaign, you do not pause it, you negative exact it. Okay? Okay, so for gold eye mask specifically, remember I cannot lower the bid on this specific keyword. If I lower the bid on gold eye mask, I am lowering the bid. I will show you all for everything here. Okay? So just because the keyword gold eye mask did not perform well doesn't mean that the rest of these keywords did not perform well. So if I was to lower the bid for gold eye mask in phrase, it's going to lower the bid for everything. So I cannot lower the bid for this specific keyword. You can only do that in an exact campaign. I need to make a decision whether I'm just going to allow this keyword to stay there or if I'm going to negative exact this specific keyword. Okay? Now, because overall this phrase campaign is performing well, I may continue to target this keyword. Okay? Otherwise, I would negative exact the keyword. I would not lower the bid on it because lowering the bid will lower the bid for all of the search terms coming from that keyword. So for this specific keyword, I may decide to leave it at this point in time. Unless that ACOS starts growing a lot, then I would negative exact it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to all of the keywords where we were just at. Okay, so morning gold eye patches, for example. Okay, 1,199 impressions, 59 clicks. Click-through rate of 4.6, which is pretty good. And then $2 cost per click, etc. And then we can see here we've got a 22% ACOS. Now, the impressions here is not a lot. Like, it's not that this keyword got that many impressions. But on the other hand, it also didn't get, it wasn't minimum impressions. I'm fine with this keyword at this point in time staying here in this campaign. But you could always decide that you're going to take this keyword and put it in an exact campaign with 5 to 10 keywords max, so that it gets a lot more impressions, and so that we're targeting, isolating that specific keyword. So we're just going to target that keyword. For now, I'm going to leave it here. And I just want to go down to the ones that had less impressions. So for example, this keyword only got 92 impressions, 7 clicks, and those 7 clicks turned into 2 sales. Okay, 35% ACOS. Gold eye patches, 38 impressions, which is nothing. Like, that is nothing. Okay, only 9 clicks. This is me missing out on sales. Those 9 clicks turned into 2 sales. So that's a really high conversion rate, right? And that's 21% ACOS. So it's a shame that I do not target this then in an exact campaign. It's a shame that it's not getting many impressions. I want this keyword to get a lot more impressions than what it is getting now. So I will take this keyword and I will move it to an exact campaign, again, that has a maximum of 10 keywords in it. Let's just see if I can find anything else that has... So all of these have converted once, but look, it's 100% conversion rate. 1 impression, 1 click, and it turned into a sale. That could be a lot of things. It could be an impulse buy. It could be, something just random that happened, or it could be that if these keywords had a lot more impressions, they would get a lot more sales. We also don't want to have, 50 exact campaigns. So at this point in time, I would really go and choose whatever keywords have performed well and converted more than once, okay? And then I will take them that did not get a lot of impressions. So for example, this converted twice, and this converted twice, and this converted twice, and all of these got hardly any impressions. Then I may take all of these keywords and put them in an exact campaign in order for them to get more impressions. And once I put them in the exact campaign and the exact campaign starts working, I will negative exact them in this phrase campaign, because the point is to get this phrase campaign to be super optimized and for the keywords to get impressions, not evenly, because it's not going to happen, but I want this to give other keywords more chance to convert. All of these keywords here, okay, I can't do anything with them because they got hardly any impressions. 9 impressions is nothing. I don't have enough data to be able to correctly decide what to do with this specific search term. Okay, so I'm now going to go back and choose another campaign. Oops, sorry. Here we go. Let's look at a auto campaign. Okay, whoa. Okay, so this is an auto campaign that does not have a lot of information in it. So first of all, this auto campaign has no conversions at all. I can already see that because we've color coded everything, and I can also see that only one ASIN got a lot of impressions, and all the rest of these got no impressions whatsoever. So this campaign may have been new. It may have had a low daily budget. There could be a lot of different reasons why there's hardly any data here. But there's also not enough data here for me to negative exact anything. The way that I work is I want to see 10 clicks. If I have more than 10 clicks with no conversion, I will then negative exact that keyword. Okay, the maximum conversion I have here, the maximum clicks I have here is 5. Okay, and that's not enough data for me to make any, decision according to the data I'm seeing here to know whether I should negative exact that or not. So I then have a decision to make whether I need to maybe up the bids or up the daily budget on that specific campaign. Let's see if there's another order here. Oh no, that's an ACOS saver. I don't want an ACOS saver. Okay, so this specific report that I'm showing you guys doesn't have a lot of information from an auto campaign, which is probably going to be the opposite of your situation. So I'll just show you what I would have done. So what I would have done is any keywords that had a lot of clicks and no conversion, so a lot of clicks, over 10 clicks and no conversion, I would have negative exacted them in this auto campaign. And any keywords that were performing well and had a low ACOS and had a good conversion, I would then take them from this campaign, meaning I'd put them into an exact campaign or a phrase, it really depends on the keyword, and I would then negative exact them in auto. Now, there is no one way of doing PPC, and this is a way that I do this. There are a lot of gurus out there, or whatever you want to call them, that they say if a keyword is working well in auto, then I'd rather keep it in an auto campaign because I'm going to be paying a lot less for that keyword in this auto campaign. So why would I move it to an exact? Which I understand their logic of that. However, in my experience, if I keep this really highly performing keyword in this auto campaign, I do not have that guarantee that it is going to get 100% of the impressions. Okay, and I'll show that to you. I don't want it to get 100% of the impressions, but I do want it to get a lot more impressions because it is converting very, very well. And for me, the purpose of an auto campaign is literally just keyword discovery. I just want to discover more keywords. It's not necessarily for sales. So if a keyword is converting for me very well in an auto campaign, I don't want it to stay in an auto campaign. I want it to move into an exact campaign or into a phrase campaign, usually into an exact campaign, because I want it to get sales, and it will only get sales if it gets impressions. So, and I also don't want it to stay in here because I don't want it to get most of the impressions. So the long story short, that is a way that I do things. If a keyword is converting well in an auto campaign, I will take it out of the auto campaign, meaning I will negative exact, not negative phrase, negative exact it in the auto campaign, and I will move it to an exact campaign, or I will create a new exact campaign with converting keywords, and then I will negative exact it here. And if a keyword is not performing well, then I will negative exact it in the auto campaign. And that now something that I found over time, because I do a lot of one-on-one coaching on PPC, that people don't know. You cannot negative exact an ASIN in an auto campaign. And I will repeat that. And this is not me guessing. This is 100%. Anyone who tells you differently does not know what they're talking about. If you do not believe me, feel free to contact Amazon, ask to speak to someone from the sponsored ads advertising department in Amazon and ask them yourself. You can, but it won't work. You cannot negative exact an ASIN in a automatic campaign, okay? So, what does that mean to you? You have a few options. Number one, with ASINs, if an ASIN is performing well in an automatic campaign, I will then take that ASIN and target it in a ASIN targeted campaign, what you could call product targeting, through a manual campaign. Okay, that's what I would do. I cannot negative exact it in this campaign, but you will see that when you do it over time, most of the impressions will go towards the ASIN that you put in the product targeting campaign and not in the auto campaign. And for an ASIN that is not converting well, there's two things you could do. Number one, you can try and figure out why that ASIN is being targeted. Sometimes it could be a keyword that is totally not related to your product, and therefore, because you have that keyword inside of your listing, that is why Amazon finds that keyword, that ASIN, relevant. And then you can just take that keyword out of your listing. A lot of the time, you're targeting the same keywords, but you just have no chance standing against that ASIN. So in that scenario, there is not much that you can do. And eventually, if your auto campaign turns into just ASINs, then eventually you've got a few different options. Again, I don't want this PPC video to be way too long. I'll probably just make a video just on this subject because it's something no one really understands from my experience with the coaching calls I've done. So I'll make a separate video about that. But I just want to show you guys for a second, if we go back to that phrase campaign and have a look at it. So if we were just to pretend for a second that this was the auto campaign that I was showing you, then for example, okay, this keyword has a very high ACOS, okay, 80%. For someone who's just new, 80% may not be the end of the world, but this is a high ACOS. So if this was in an auto campaign, gold iPad treatment, I would negative exact that. We had 10 clicks and only 1 turned into a sale. Okay, and the cost per click is pretty high. I mean, it's not that high for this specific product, but it has resulted in an 80% ACOS. So if this was in a auto campaign, I would have automatically negative exacted that. I would also negative exact it, obviously, in this campaign as well. And if this was an auto campaign, then this keyword gold eye patches for women, I would have, this is a good example for a keyword that I would have then moved to an exact campaign or to a phrase campaign and negative exacted in that order. Now, I really hope I haven't confused people because I sort of have been all over the place. It's just what PPC sometimes does to you. But that is more or less the way that I look at, let's just clear everything and select all so you see everything. That is more or less the way that I start to optimize. So I would then get this Excel sheet very in depth and color coding it and writing myself comments. And then once I've finished, I would then go and mirror everything I did here and make the changes on my Seller Central account. Now, this is not a good idea if you have a lot of products. If you have a lot of products, you should be making these changes on the Excel sheet that you can then upload onto Amazon, and that will be just a separate video I'll do in the future. But most people watching these videos usually only have 1 or 2 products, and therefore this is the easiest way I found for teaching people that I coach how to do this. It just also really helps you when everything is color-coded because you also see an overall picture of what your how your campaigns are performing. So again, I would make all of these changes on here. I would not, if I wanted to tell myself to lower a bid, I would not tell myself to lower a bid by lowering it. I would leave myself a comment. Okay, and then I would remember later on to, so for example, lower bid, and then it will leave that little triangle there, or you could also leave a comment and then that triangle will be in red. And then I know to look out keyword by keyword. Now, I do want to say that just because a keyword may have converted once does not necessarily mean that it is going to convert consistently. So when I move a keyword from a auto or a phrase or a broad, whatever it may be, to an exact, it is only if it has converted consistently and more than once, okay? I really hope that this video made sense and that it has not been too confusing. I highly suggest that if you still need more in-depth information, that you book a one-on-one coaching call with me. This is exactly the kind of stuff that I do during a coaching call. Again, I will make another video. I'll make more videos on the subject, being more in depth, but this is an overall look of how I would optimize campaigns, how I look at the information, what information is important to me, and why impressions and clicks are also so important, even more than ACOS at times. Sometimes it can be a lot more important to look at that more than your ACOS. And I hope it makes sense. And if you guys have any questions for me, please feel free to ask them below. If you have not seen my how to launch with PPC video, or if you've not seen my in-depth explanation on PPC video, I highly suggest that you watch that. I'll put links for that below. And I really, really highly suggest that you also come into my Facebook group. I have an amazing community. It's called Amazon FBA Alphas. I'll put a link for that as well. And I will also put a link for my coaching website that you are able to book calls if you feel that you need one. And if you have any questions, obviously feel free to reach out on either social media or through here on YouTube. So I'll see you guys in the next video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. It really helps me to make more videos and grow the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.